But as Nova mentioned, I'm Katie Caldwell. I'm the Jill Abrahamson Memorial Environmental Education Intern here at Archbold Biological Station. It is a beautiful sunny day outside here today. And I am taking over for Mr. Dustin today. Normally, it would be him out here, but he had some other responsibilities. So I figured what a better time for me to give it a go on the selfie stick. So I am going to be showing you some of my favorite things of the scrub, especially with springtime hitting. We have all sorts of beautiful flowers blooming. And it's a great reminder of just all the cool relationships that happen out in nature and all the cycles and processes that happen out here. But first, I did want to talk a little bit about the internship process. So I'm in the I'm an environmental education intern. I work in the education department. We also have a bunch of research interns here, like our guest scientists, Jack and Christine today. The intern program is a really cool program for like aspiring scientists coming out of undergrad typically to get some experience. So our research interns will actually make their own projects and do their own experiments, and it's really cool and a lot of work. My job is a little bit different because I'm in the education department. So I do a bunch of different things on my daily day base or on my day-to-day. And I actually had a quick video going over just one day in my life. Of course, my day changes up a lot. I do different field trips with kids and we'll help with summer camp. I write newspaper articles, just anything you can think of revolving education. So I'm gonna have Nova pull up that video. Oh, I also noticed my name is still Mr. Dustin. That's too funny. But yeah, Nova, if you can start sharing that. This is just one example of my daily life here at Archbold as an intern. So I hope you enjoy.
Good morning, I'm Katie Caldwell and I'm the Environmental Education Intern here at Archbold Biological Station. Today I'm going to walk you through a day in my life. So far I've only made my bed. I need to go get dressed and ready. So I'll go do that and I'll catch up with you guys in a second before I head off to work. Awesome, so I got my overalls on and I am ready to take on the day. So I know I said I was ready to take on my day, but I'm not really until I have my caffeine. So I've made my tea in the ice room, which is one of the common areas that interns have to share. And now I am ready to go head over to the office and show you guys my commute. And just like that, I am at the office. Welcome to my office. We finally made it after that super long commute of about 35 seconds to my office. Realistically, not having to drive in the morning is one of my favorite parts about this job. I hate driving in traffic, so living here at Archbold is one of the biggest perks of the internship, hands down, in my opinion. So I stopped by the kitchen also after I got here and grabbed a little bit of breakfast. It's really convenient, the kitchen is right next door. And then I'm going to get started on some of my office work for today. So I have to write a press release for a conference I'm working on, and then after that I'm going to go and spot clean the snakes' cages. And then later this afternoon, I'm going to be helping my boss, Dustin, with a photo shoot that he's doing as part of his photography project. So, I got a lot to do today. Busy. I'm going to get going. So now I'm going to go and clean out the snakes' cages. I finished up my press release. And first one up is Poser. She's a Florida pine snake, and I will be giving her house a quick little cleanup. What do you think? We are interrupting the workday for a room tour. So this is my side of the room, and I share this space with my roommate Alon, whose side is over here. And we have this great, big, beautiful window, which I absolutely adore. It brings in great natural light and makes this room feel bigger because it's not a super huge room. We turn around here and we're back at the entrance. So we have a little shoe rack to keep things more organized. We have our desk with some organization on it, and above this little caricature of me and Alon we got done at a craft fair, and I just think it is so cute, you know, the roomies. But on the other side of the room we have our lockers, and we each get our own locker, and then the last one we have is shared. So I just keep accessories, towels, clothing, a couple extra books in here. And that's about it for the room.
Welcome to the kitchen!
Hey everyone, I'm parked right now, but I'm about to head over to Buck Island Ranch to go finish up my work day, doing some recordings, and yeah, I'll get some footage over there to show you how cool my job is. Hey everyone, I just got back to Archbold and I am outside of my dorm right now. I wanted to do a quick goodbye though. I had such a long day and I am ready to go make dinner and head to bed. Before I go, I did want to mention a few of the fun things we do here at Archbold as interns. On the weekends and in the evenings, we'll do things like our traditional waffle night, or we'll go and set minnow traps and catch cool critters like the siren here, or even bigger trips like to the Everglades. It's a lot of fun and there's a lot of cool opportunities, and I'd highly recommend considering an internship after undergrad if you're not quite sure what you want to do. Thanks for coming along with me today. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I actually, well, of course, I recorded it as I was going about my day, but I edited it too. It's a part of an ongoing videography project that I've been working on. I thought to do one about myself because I think it's really important to know that there are a bunch of opportunities to do some of these cool programs that maybe you don't think of right away, especially if you're in high school or college and you're thinking about wanting to be a scientist, but not sure if you want to go and get your PhD right away. I think it's always worthwhile considering some of these other opportunities. Well, anyway, while the video was playing, I found this cool example of spring. We found this. Let me turn around my camera. It's looking like the flowers are starting to die off a little bit. But if you've seen a cactus before, they can grow these really big, beautiful, fragrant flowers. And any flowering plant is known as an angiosperm. I think it's really cool how these big flowers will attract all sorts of insects. Sometimes when I've been here, I've found different kinds of beetles. I've seen spiders on these plants and definitely tons of bees. These flowers and the bugs that pollinate them have a mutualistic relationship. So a symbiotic relationship is a close relationship between any two organisms. So in this case, the plant benefits by getting pollinated, and the flower gets some of that really good nectar and pollen to spread to the other plants. It is important to note that not all flowering plants are pollinated by bugs. We can see some other examples of that even just in the scrub. And even though it's sad that we might not have this full blooming flower right now, it's important to remember that even these little dyed, crusty flowers are important in the cycle of this plant. If anyone ever has had prickly pear cactus fruit, it's really yummy, and I would highly recommend for anyone who might be interested in trying. But you need the flower to die and able for the fruit to grow. So it's a bummer I couldn't show you like a big beautiful flower, but it's exciting to know that the plant is going through its stages and making cactus fruit for whoever wants to eat it. I know gopher tortoises seem to be a fan of it. So yeah, and speaking of gopher tortoises, I think I'm gonna pass over the camera to our herpetology intern, Jack Christie. He's been working on some different gopher tortoise projects, and I think he has some really cool videos to show you guys. Jack, are you ready to pull those up?
Hello, everybody. My name is Jack Christie. Thank you for the introduction, Katie. I'm the current herpetology research intern here at Archbold. And so a lot of my job has been, pretty much all about one animal, the gopher tortoise, which has been so much fun to work with you. A big part of my job is just continuing the ongoing research. That involves like a lot of tracking the tortoises, capturing them, measuring them, as well as pursuing my own research project, which has been a lot of fun as well. However, one thing I've been working on recently is concerned with gopher tortoise outreach. So this past Sunday was Gopher Tortoise Day, and to kind of commemorate the day, I put together 4 short videos that I'd like to show you today, with the goal of just kind of spreading awareness of gopher tortoises, spreading appreciation. Hopefully, some people even learned a thing or two. But yeah, without any further ado, here is the first video that I put together. All right, so that was that was a tutorial that I made. This next one, you might want to check your audio levels. obviously I had a lot of fun making that. So yeah, some of the videos are a little bit sillier, kind of like that. And this one was made using actual camera trap footage as part of a GPS tracking project. So some of that does have a little bit more of a, not quite serious, but hopefully a little more educational purpose. Let's go. All right, and I have one more short video I'd like to share with you. All right. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on for for the last few weeks here. And with that, I would like to pass it back to Katie.
So lichen is definitely one of my favorite organisms. I think it's super cool, and it's just really neat how the algae in there has that relationship with the fungus. And it's actually a lot more common than you think. Even the roots of plants often have relationships with fungus. And yeah, it's real common in underground, and it's how plants even can communicate with each other. So pretty cool. And even though this might look like a moss, none of this is a plant here. If you want to learn about plants, you need to talk to Christine. So if Christine is ready to talk about stomata, you can go ahead and pull up your presentation. Yeah, Christine has a really cool project, and I'm excited to hear about it.
So because Katie's cactus flowers didn't really show very well, I thought I would show a couple pictures of cactus flowers that I saw in the field because they look really nice and I think they're really cool. All right, so hello from me, the plant intern. I've been at Archbold about 2 months, and I've done a couple cool things. So like usually I'm in the field in this middle picture here doing stuff like this, looking at rare plants and counting them and just having a really difficult time trying to separate them and count the different tiny little individual leaves. But I also do some cool things like you see the picture on the left, this scrub jay on my head. This one is well known throughout the station. His name is fence male, and he really just likes to land on people's heads. And so I got this very nice picture with him. And then because Katie was talking about lichen, I thought I'd share this cool lichen over here as well, which is about as big as my head. So I thought that would be cool for everyone to see. So something that every intern does here, every research intern, is that we each have our own individual projects that we do. And so my project focuses on plant water traits with different soil moistures. So here in the scrub, we typically have very sandy, dry, well-drained soils. But at the same time, small little differences like changes in elevation of say a couple feet are enough to really change the habitat and change it from say a seasonal pond to like a scrubby flatwood to like this very open sandy rosemary bald at higher elevations. And so what I've really been doing in my 2 months here for my project is I've been doing a lot of reading. I've only recently even been able to go out and see my different sites for my different plants and habitats that I'm going to see. But yeah, so another thing that I do for my project is I found this very fun little contraption that you can see on the right side here. It's called a Scolander pressure chamber, and it's a bit too much for me to go into for this presentation, but the basic idea is I use it to see kind of how plants pull water through their entire system, like how much they want to pull the water through. I've been calling it the contraption because it just looks like a contraption, and I think it's really cool. All right, so another thing that I look at for my project, or I'm going to look at, are stomata. And this may be something that some people have heard of, but for the folks who haven't heard of them, stomata are these tiny little pores and openings in plants, typically on the bottom of leaves. And what they do is they are the places where gases will come in and out of the plants. So like if you've ever wondered, oh, plants take in carbon dioxide and they release oxygen, where do they do that? Well, they do that in the stomata. And so how stomata work are, the stomata is literally just the like tiny little pore opening. And then right around them, you can see in the diagram, there are these little guard cells right around them. And so the guard cells are what open and close the stomata. And they do this based on how the plant is doing in terms of water. So like if the plant doesn't have a lot of water, then the cells themselves are not going to have a lot of water. And so they'll kind of shrink and then they'll just close. But then when they're very full of water and very happy, they'll swell a little bit and then they'll just open back up. And then carbon dioxide can come back in and all the gases can start moving around. And so now that you know a little bit about what a stomata is, the next thing is how to find out how we measure them. And so that's to answer this question of how does one science? So here I have a couple little things that maybe we could use to figure out how to get an imprint of a leaf, right? So I have this little leaf here. And so the goal for me is to somehow get an imprint of the bottom of the leaf. And so I have a couple different items displayed on the screen, and I'm just kind of wondering what you guys think would be the best thing to do. Maybe we could have some, nail polish and just paint the back of it and maybe like take some, I don't know, tweezers or something and take that off and put it on a microscope slide. Maybe that would work. Or maybe even we could take some Play-Doh, right? Because Play-Doh is really good at making imprints of things. And so maybe we could take Play-Doh here, put the leaf in, and then stack it back on top and get an imprint that way. Or we could do tape, because if you've ever used tape, you'll notice that whenever you touch it, your fingerprint is going to stay on it. So maybe that would be a good way to get some imprints. So yeah, the answer actually is two of these. It's the nail polish and the tape. So here I have some nail polish from bird intern Helen that I am borrowing. And what happens is I take some nail polish and I just put it on the back of the leaf. And then I take some tape over here, and then I'll put the leaf on the tape and then press really hard. Make sure I have as much of the surface area covered as possible. And then what I do is I take the tape off and then I put it on this microscope slide over here. You can kind of see that I have tape with two different leaf imprints on them. And then I look at that under a microscope slide. And what that looks like is this mass of everything that you see here. So the little circles that you see, I don't think you can see my mouse, so I'm just gonna like gesture. The little circles that you can see, one of the other interns, Elantra, she was describing it as like the inner egg and the outer egg. And I think that that is a pretty good way of describing how they look. So the inner egg, the little opening, that is where you can see like sort of see the guard cells, right? And then those are like the things that open and close. And then for an even more zoomed in picture, there's this one. So on the picture on the left, you can really see the guard cells just kind of like really tight together. And then around them are like the other cells that will just kind of prevent the increasing, expanding, and decreasing size of the guard cells, like from destroying the rest of the plant or like causing stress that way. But yeah, so this is what it comes out to be on a microscope. And then on the right side is a little bit of bad science, just as an example. That side is from a leaf that I dried basically 3 days, I think, beforehand, versus the one on the left side. I did it straight yesterday. I picked the leaf within like say 1-2 hours. I had it painted and then I had the tape on it and then I was looking at it under a microscope. And so you can really just see the difference in the quality of the images that come out. And so going forward, what I'm doing with my project is I am going to go to different habitats across Archbold. Like in the purple outline, you can see a rosemary bulb, and then you can kind of see the seasonal pond to the upper right. That's the brownish area. I'm not going near that, but those are typically things that I will try to avoid because I don't really want to, say, drive a truck into a pond and get stuck. But yeah, so this is kind of what I've been doing in my time here.
Awesome. That was great, Christine. I love those pictures of the stomata. I think they look so cool. So we are going to be wrapping up soon. So if you have any questions for any of us, leave them in the question box. But before we get to that, I did find this cool little guy. So this is an earth star mushroom. As I was mentioning before, most of the mushroom actually lives underground, the mycelium do, and then the fruiting bodies are what will pop to the surface. So when you think of a mushroom, that's actually just the fruiting part of it. And this is a relative of the puffball mushroom. And the earth stars are really cool because they have the little spore sac in the middle. And you can sometimes even see the little hole where the spores come through. And then they have these little petals around the side that only open up once the spores are fully ready, fully developed, or also when it gets wet is another good sign, because that's how the spores are spread, is through water. So that's all I have for y'all today. I'm gonna have all of our guests and Nova turn the camera back on, and we can start getting to some of our questions. Cool. So Nova, do we have any questions in the box yet?
During the session, we got one question from David. What is the range of gopher tortoises? Are they common, uncommon, endangered, or what? And Jack did have a chance to type a quick response, but I think it'd be great if he spoke to it for the end of the session here.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I might kind of copy off the response I already wrote, but hi, David, thank you for asking. Yeah, so gopher tortoises are found throughout the southeastern United States. They kind of really, just like hug in like the southeastern kind of like coastal plain area. So they can be found from like southernmost South Carolina, kind of all the way back down to eastern Louisiana, just barely, kind of just in the southern parts of like Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. Florida is definitely their stronghold, however. Yeah, like Florida and Georgia are like definitely their stronghold. And yeah, that's definitely where like the highest densities of tortoises are. However, they have undergone pretty significant population declines over the last few years, mostly owing to habitat loss, which, is, like Florida's being like built up more every day. And tortoises definitely feel that. They're basically directly competing for really desirable properties between like, developers and tortoises. And in a lot of those instances, tortoises have definitely lost out. So yeah, so they are now protected in most of the states in which they occur, and Florida is no exception. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Jack. We do have a few more questions that have popped up. Again, from David, do we know when this will be on YouTube?
Ooh, okay. So usually it takes me about a week or so to edit these. So I plan I'd say by next Tuesday, it should be up and running within a week or so.
And he's also wondering if we take interns before they graduate from college.
From my understanding, we've only had volunteers who work in the lab. Most of our interns do have their bachelor's degree. I have mine in biology. Some even have higher degrees, but I will double check on that, David, and find out for you. My understanding is we don't, though.
The next is from Warren Abrahamson. And this question is for Christine. Do you expect more water stress in rosemary bulbs compared to flatwoods?
Hi, Abe. So I think you already know the answer to this question, but rosemary bulbs are typically at a higher elevation than flatwoods. And so because of that, there is actually less water because by gravity, the water will just kind of go down the hill. And so rosemary bulbs are pretty unique, a unique type of habitat here because they are very open, sandy, and yes, they do experience more stress. But yeah, so.
And then another question for Christine. Thank you for answering that one for Abe. Christine, do you place the tape directly on the slide?
So yes, actually, I don't know how well you can see this, but I do have the two pieces of tape just straight up directly on the slide. Because I think if you were to try to, I don't know, take it off and then try to peel it off, it would really just mess with the different cells that are on the slide. But this way, as long as I have the tape on the top of the slide and then the microscope here, looking at it, it turns out well. I accidentally put the two pieces of tape on different sides of the slide, which is why when yesterday I was like, why is this not working well? It's because I need to flip the slide because that small little bit of distance makes all the difference in microscopy.
Thank you very much, Christine. The next question is for Katie, also from Abe. Do the Earth stars produce spores year-round or primarily during this dry season in Florida?
Great. Great question. They've been abundant since I've been here in October. So I know we were finishing up the wet season around there, around that time, but I'm not 100% sure how we'll see them, like the abundance we'll see during like the true wet season. So that one I'd have to get back to you on, but from my understanding is that they're around most of the year or all of the year, so. Yeah. Perfect. Any other questions, Nova?
Nope, not here on Zoom. Just David thanking us for a very interesting tour of the facility and wishing us all the best.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you for for coming to our shows throughout this season, and thank you everyone for joining in on this last episode. It's been a lot of fun to do this series. It's a bummer that Dustin couldn't join for this last episode, but thank you for joining and thank you for your patience with all of our technical issues today. And with that, I am gonna say goodbye for now. Alrighty. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.